Welcome to the Barbershop Show. I'm your host, Matt Horner, with my twin brother and barber as well, Woodrow. How's it going?
Pretty good. You didn't say I was a pretty twin.
Yeah, well, I don't agree with that. I'm the pretty smart, good twin. You're the evil twin.
Oh.
Yeah. Mama did paint my toenails.
You was meant to go home as a girl.
Oh, no. Gosh, here we go again. Well, you have a barbershop. Tell everybody where it's at.
I have a barbershop in Stephenville. It's Woodrow's Barbershop. There's 6 of us cutting hair there, and it's a great place. You come get a hot towel shave that's at a reasonable price. A haircut and a shave, $18.
$18 for a haircut and shave. Ain't bad.
Yeah.
Leave out with little blood pathogen diseases or something.
Please edit that.
Okay, well, in case the whole barbershop thing don't work out, today we're talking about homesteading. You just bought a place.
Yeah.
So tell everybody what you just bought.
So I bought 28 acres and outside of Stephenville, about 45 minutes in Gorman.
Yeah, same area where I live, and I just bought 35 acres, and so I thought today's show would be fun because me and you joked and had fun about homesteading, and I've watched a lot of crazy YouTube and people like living off the grid, Last Frontier, and what to build, and that's what we start thinking about. It's like, and then the first things first, can we make money doing this, brother?
I think it's possible.
Yeah,
but you got to be able to have I think it's possible to make homesteading where some things pay for others and some things don't pay.
Yeah. Well, I'm really hoping the MU market comes back.
Oh, yeah. Ostrich meat. That's where the
ostrich meat and boots and the feathers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, those eggs make an omelet.
It's like the Native Americans. We're going to use everything.
We're going to use everything.
We're going to use their little claws.
Make back scratchers like an alligator farm.
Yeah.
I mean, them alligator farms use everything. They're people in Louisiana, they kind of never quit homesteading.
They never let it quit, did they?
They're still like, we're just trying to.
That's a nice Barbie kit out of BW Bug.
Yeah. So, what do you think what does make money in homesteading?
So I've been an urban homesteader, I guess you could say. I still have bees. I have about 30 beehives. I've had milk goats. I still have chickens, and I still have meat rabbits.
Yeah.
The 2 things I have made money on is rabbits and bees. Chickens, I haven't made any money on. Every day I bring eggs to the barbershop. I trade my eggs to the lady that comes to my barbershop for breakfast burritos.
Yeah.
So I give her about a dozen eggs. She gives me 2 breakfast burritos. I think that was a pretty good trade.
That is a good trade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the milk goats, I noticed when I was doing that I thought I could breed a meat goat and a milk goat and get the best of both. Mm-hmm. What I learned when I was doing the milk goat thing is that you get the crappy of both.
Not much milk, not great meat.
Yeah. So if I was going to do the milk goat thing again, now that we bought more land, we're going to have a Jersey cow. But I probably won't do. I'll still have goats for just the goats.
I don't know. I think you should just keep pushing the science of trying to make the perfect milk goat. There's a calling out there for that.
So goat milk is different than cow's milk. It's naturally homogenized. It's the closest thing to human breast milk.
I've been missing some good human breast milk since I was about 1.
I know, right?
I mean, right now I'm watering at the mouth.
So one of the theories is about goat milk is that you can sell your goat milk to babies that are not, what do you call it?
Sensitive, lactose intolerant?
Yeah, or sensitive to baby formula.
Baby formula, yeah.
So before baby formula, everybody used goat's milk. Yeah. It was high demand.
Yeah.
So.
I knew of a mom that couldn't produce milk. She just had a baby. Yeah. And then, and the baby couldn't have baby formula.
Yeah.
So she got on Craigslist and bought breast milk.
Yeah.
And there's like a whole certification for women who want to like produce their breast milk and sell it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they sell
So
it
she's
like
like a
on
true
Craigslist.
milkmaid.
Yeah, like a true milkmaid.
There's a homesteader right there. You yourself can be the
So
homesteader.
you could technically, a woman could homestead. You know, if it's just about producing food for the public, you could do it in an apartment, I guess.
There's also a man that he found that his main ingredient to his cancer medication was goat's milk. So it was cheaper for him to buy goats than it was to buy his medication.
Huh. That's
So
the things that Big Pharma don't want us to know.
maybe, you know.
Monsanto just doesn't want to let us know about that secret ingredient, goat milk.
Yeah.
Just like Mama. Well, you've opened my eyes to all the things of. What about trees? What do you think in trees? I mean, you kind of have. You got pecans and other type of trees, and
I had some peach trees, and what I did wrong the first time when I lived out in the country before is all my peach trees produced all at once. When I moved back to town and I had like a little acre in town, and I bought another set of trees, I produced my peach trees where they would produce from the June to the beginning of August, and I had 6 of them. And so
how can you regulate that?
Well, they got different varieties of peaches from Alberta to Lone Star to Georgia peach to you know.
Okay, so the different varieties.
You get different varieties. Well, before I just had all one, and what happens is that
I would just assume if you're in Texas and it's a peach tree, they all kind of go at the same time.
No, you kind of want to space. If you're going to do more than one of a variety, it's better to space them out, because what happens if you have, I had 6 trees and 6 trees. The 6 trees that were all the same, you get all these peaches all at once, and it's overwhelming, you know. And you want to make jellies or sell them or whatever, and they go bad too quick. Peaches, pears, they're great for all kinds of things, from pear preserves to feeding to your rabbits to your goats. They like them, for treats, and Then you got your pecans. Your pecans are good. Now, all these trees are great, and what also makes them great if you homestead with bees.
Yeah. So bees come into the mix with trees.
Oh yeah, and just gardening and pollination. So more pollinators, the more produce you have.
Well, when you talk about bees, we always got to do the bee joke. You want to say it?
Which one? I got a couple.
You got a couple? How about the one? How do you tell the difference between a boy and a girl? And
a
boy and a girl?
No, you messed it all up.
I'm messing it up. Well, deliver.
Yeah. What bee gives milk?
Which bee gives milk? I don't know.
Boobies.
The boobies do give milk. You're so right. Yeah. Okay. Well, he's got another bee joke. Go ahead.
Well, I'll just kind of play it in as I go.
Oh, okay. So bees with the trees and everything pollinate and
I think what's great about the homestead, and Ken Burns on PBS, I was watching this documentary about the Amish people.
I love the Ken Burns. Yeah.
Anyways, he one of the Amish quotes was, the closest thing, he was interviewing this Amish guy. He wasn't on film. You just hear his voice in the background because they don't want to be filmed.
Yeah. Well, we all know that half of them are witness protection.
Yeah. Anyways, he said the closest thing to God is working the land and being on the soil.
Yeah, I agree.
So there's something about us Americans. We're all, we're all in our, like here at the barbershop, standing by the chair, cutting hair. You're inside all day in a climate control thing. The heaviest thing you pick up is a clipper.
Yeah. Pretty easy life.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in America working in that cubicle just looking at that computer screen. And I think what makes people want to homestead is the fact to get that feeling back of your heritage to your family, to God, about going back, breaking the soil, touching your hand.
Totally.
All that.
Just to taste the dirt, to smell it.
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, to have your back ache because you've, worked in the garden. And
an interesting thing I found out recently was that I was really low on vitamin E.
You were?
Yeah. And most people in America are first world countries, not third world countries. We get a lot of our vitamin E from the sun, and that vitamin E comes from the sun, and it goes to the oils of our skin, and then we go home and we shower. Well, we just wash it all off. So if you shower every day, you don't get as much vitamin E as you possibly could. And then, especially if you work inside.
Mm-hmm.
So you become more happier physically because you're outside toiling and sweating.
Yeah.
And that vitamin's getting inside you. It's a God's way of saying, hey, man, good job. Here's some serotonin.
Yeah, here's a sunblast of happiness.
Yeah.
Sunblast of happiness. Well, that's kind of cool. With homesteading, you kind of, though, that's what everybody loves about it, is you go, and it's nature's laboratory.
Yeah. You
It's
get to
where
start
you,
something.
and then a lot of homesteaders homeschool.
Yeah.
It's hard to say that together real quick, and I could understand
'Cause you
raising your kids. I could understand raising your kids homesteading, and then they learn about bees and where bees' milk comes from,
Yeah.
and and honey and trees and all the different peach varieties, all the different pecan varieties, and animals to raise and eat and produce. And I think it's kind of neat because it's where you do learn about science and chemistry, and it's kind of
cool to see that, you plant a seed. That seed in the jar is just a seed, but you throw it in some soil, add some water, life comes from it.
Yeah.
And then you just think, wow. The cool thing about homesteading is that you become a more realistic person about how life in the world really should work.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is, like, how many people go through a drive-through or fast food, order something, they have no idea what it took to produce that food.
Like a hamburger, the beef, the tomato,
I have
the lettuce.
shot a deer with my son. Clean that deer, process that deer. And then at the dinner table, my son's like, I just don't want to eat. And then I have to tell him, hey, we killed that deer. We shot that deer. You saw that deer die. Now you got to eat that deer, because if you don't, you're slapping the deer in the face because of what he gave for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He gave
Homesteading sees that. You see that in meat rabbits. You see that in all kinds of livestock.
Yeah, and you're kind of big into the meat rabbits, which I think for a lot of Americans, maybe not other places in the world, they find that.
Yeah, that's America's really spoiled. Only 3 countries in the world don't eat horse.
Only 3 countries in the world don't eat horse?
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Who doesn't eat horse?
I think it's France, America, and Britain.
I thought, well,
they might eat it other ways, but I was
I would
told
put them in the
3
top
countries.
3, though. I'd put them in the top 3.
You would think, right?
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, it takes a
But
long
most
time.
of the countries, either way,
They eat a horse.
They eat a horse.
Yeah.
Because they see the circle of life.
Yeah.
In America, like I said, they go through the drive-through, they don't see nothing. When you homestead, you really quickly, you stop naming names for pets.
Yeah.
One female meat rabbit can produce you 100 pounds of meat a year.
100 pounds of meat.
Yeah. So what happens is that rabbit, when it's ready to breed, you can breed her and she'll have babies in 28 to 30 days. And then 2 weeks after that, you can breed her again. She can have up to 6 to 8 babies each time. Each baby represents up to 4 pounds of meat.
So basically, every 6 weeks, you could have some.
So basically, every 6 weeks, you have the possibility of creating 25 to 30 pounds of meat.
Yeah.
For your family. That's just with one mama rabbit. Throw a second mama rabbit in that equation. Things just start. So what you see in like countries that are like don't have a lot of land space, like Cuba, Haiti, islands mostly, are urban. Like, it's a great thing. Rabbits are the best livestock for the city. They don't make noise. Their manure doesn't stink. It's a very cold manure. You can plant. It's a great seed starting manure. So all that stuff is great for urbans or islands, or if you don't have a lot of land space to create a protein or meat and have a waste product that's very garden friendly.
Yeah.
They have their manure is closest to the horse.
Oh. Where'd you learn all this stuff? You're my brother, and I'm like, I don't know. Dad didn't teach us this.
Oh, I bought this book about manure.
Do you read it when you poop?
Yeah, it is about a toilet.
Well, I mean, it makes sense.
Makes sense.
Well, I like to read when I play basketball.
There wasn't a chapter about human poop, though.
There wasn't. So, you like rabbits. You sell your meat rabbits at your barbershop.
Yeah. So if you go to my barbershop,
Stephenville, Texas, how many people come to your barbershop and buy?
Dude, you can sell a rabbit. What happens? A guy comes in for a shave or a haircut. Mm-hmm. He has his little daughter. I have these girls that are not homesteaders that work for me.
Yeah.
And they know if these rabbits don't make it, I butcher them and I eat them. So what happens is a man walks in with a daughter. One of my workers will go over there, grab a rabbit, and let that daughter just pet that rabbit, love on that rabbit. And you see that man in the barber chair just looking at me like, you dick.
Yeah. Now he's got a pet rabbit?
No, he has a pet rabbit, $10. Then I'll say, hey, man, I'll sell it to you for $10 in a Ziploc bag, $10 in it alive. I don't care.
So they always buy the live ones.
Yeah. And
well, how many people's buying the Ziploc?
I've noticed, I sell a few, you know. People do want to eat rabbit. You know, it's for the longest time, I want to say rabbit was a pretty common thing in America until the 80s. You know, a lot of people ate rabbit. You know, it was in World War II, the biggest meat product that we sent was rabbit from America. So, anyways, they put it all on Navy ships. You could put a lot of rabbits on Navy ships.
Well, that's something. So you got rabbits. And you talked in the past about making money with bees.
Bees are my first, before I was a barber, I was a ranch hand / guide. Yeah. So I would see these bee trees and I'd look at those bees and just wonder. And I wanted to have bees, so I built me a bee box and started doing bee removals. And my first couple of bee removals didn't turn out so well.
Yeah. Yeah. What happened?
And, oh, man, and you got stung. When you're doing a bee removal, either from a house or a tree or a camper or abandoned car, wherever they're at, you're kind of like a Nazi. You're kicking down that door. You're taking all their comb, their honey, their pollen, their eggs and larvae, then themselves, and you're putting it in a white box, a Langstroth box, we call them. They have 10 to 8 frames, depends on the one you choose.
Yeah. The beehive boxes that most Americans know of.
Yeah, that most Americans know of. And the bees don't take that well. We ourselves wouldn't want to see our food, our furniture, and our kids and ourselves put in a concentration camp. So even the world's nicest bee at that time.
You make sounding to be a homesteader to be a horrible thing.
It's not. It's very fun. But, you go remove these bees. When you do that process, you learn a lot about bees pretty quick and how bee behavior acts are. They're not cognitive thinkers like me and you. Where's the point A, point B? They're instinctively. That's how God's made them, designed them. So you learn how not to breathe on them. How to walk around them. There's a theory about how bees don't attack people and attack some people. We have 2 sweat glands in our body. I don't know if I've ever told you this.
Nuh-uh.
So we have 2 sweat glands. One's when you work really hard and you sweat. The other one's when you get the goosebumps and the chills and you get scared and your hair kind of stands up. That one's produced by a different gland. So I could be working bees and doing bee removals and have, thousands of bees around me, and I'm doing just fine. And then there's this person that's kind of curious what's going on, and their hair's got a little bit of goosebumps, and those bees just boom attack them, boom. And the theory is that's there's nature's way to figure out, since they communicate through smell, they can smell the difference in the gland, and that's how they know which to attack.
Yeah.
So, anyways, you just learn all about bees. Bees are really interesting because they're colonial insect or colony, kind of like ants and wasps and other things.
Yeah.
And that you get to see teamwork happen that's designed by God.
Yeah.
Because they're not cognitive thinkers, like I said. It's just how it works. And we call her the queen, but we should call her the president because she has a term limit. She's there for about a year or a period of time until they make a new queen, and the old queen leaves with a portion of the beehive, and then to make a new beehive somewhere else.
Yeah.
So most Americans think that queen lives there forever at that beehive, but that's by nature's design. That's not how it works.
Yeah. So nature liked the republic type of format, not really a monarchy.
Yeah. I don't know. There's no
that's why
voting.
God blesses America, not monarchies. We went after the bees.
You know why bees never win wars, right?
Why?
They only use a BB gun.
Yeah. Excuse me. Well, there's a lot to learn about homesteading, and we've already went over animals, trees, and plants. But every now and then I watch some YouTube videos, and of course we have nice houses that we bought on our land that we're getting to live comfortably in with central heat and air, and
Earthships.
Yeah, but these other people, they live in different structures.
Yeah.
And they call that homesteading. Some of them are tiny homes, which, and then some of them are earth ships underground. I like the hobbit houses where they dig them in.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. But I think that's
Kinda
the
like
man
the
in
sod
us.
houses.
Yeah, the sod houses. Oh, yeah, let's just start digging. I remember as little boys, we would just dig holes and make huge holes, and we would play in them and everything.
Remember when we was at Jim Baez's house and he told us we was digging up dinosaurs, and his mom came by and she said, "Quit digging up our family pets." We was digging in the family pet cemetery.
Yeah, we found a lot of dinosaur bones that were dead dogs.
Oh well.
Yeah. So, but there's all these different structures. What do you think about some of these homes? I mean, if you could start from scratch, you had bare land, and
we recently, and I'm from, my county went. A lot of people in the county didn't have power for about 4 or 5 days. A great freeze of February 21st, 2018, knocked out the power grid of Erath County. 4 or 5 days. These guys, people would come sit in the barber chair and they'd say, "Man, all I have is electricity, and I got nothing." And you think, man, you live out in the country. You should have a wood burning stove. You should have propane. At least you could cook and you could eat and keep things warm.
Yeah.
You might need to have a kerosene lantern. You'd have a little bit of light.
Yeah.
So I think when you think about homes, you want to make it versatile.
So it could handle nature.
So you can handle nature. So, I wouldn't just stick with electric home, But I'm not against electric, but, maybe throw some solar and propane and a wood burning stove, and the way you insulate it is, I guess, depends on the environment that you have, But I like, they say 6 feet down, you're 50, the earth's soil is around 53 degrees. So the nice thing about, that is, I like something that you said that you dig or you build.
You have a constant temperature then.
Have a constant temperature, because, as you get old, you just, at least where we're at in Texas, it's just hot.
Yeah. So, but there's ways now too that I've seen where people take their gray water, like these earth ships, and it's kind of funny because they're taking their shelter and they're incorporating it into their
Where
type
they
of
get
homesteading.
usage of waters 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, they compost their waste.
Yeah.
Compost toilets and stuff, and catch rainwater, and so when you stop. I like all that. I was looking at my roofs and I was thinking, man, there's all these fun ways to catch rainwater, and you've done that.
Yeah.
You had a cistern that you caught and watered all your garden and everything, and it doesn't take much to do.
No, it don't. I think, rainwater is really cool to catch. And I think also you could look at, I had a creek too that I used, and I was able to make a little pump. They got these called a ramjack pump. You ever seen those? Uh-huh. And that's pretty cool when you use 2 valves and you can pump water pretty far distance.
Yeah.
With no electricity.
Yeah. Yeah. That's there's all these different ways, but of course in homesteading you're going to need water for animals and gardening, and catching it through the sky or through a creek or pond or a water well. Yeah. And some places, and even around where we live, you can dig a hole not very deep and you got groundwater. Yeah. And so that's kind of cool, but it all meets the bottom line. I mean, that's what homesteading is. I mean, because I think a lot of people go into it and they think they could make a living in it, and I think it's a very hard living to do.
It's a very hard living. That's why no one's using it, making a living. Yeah. I think it's a great living, but you got to go into it learning, having the mentality, I've learned from this. This was a mistake, but it's a mistake that I learned from. This is, I have 20 times more failures than I have successes.
Yeah. Well, in the barbershop, people come in, and that's what's great about the barbershop. You learn when to plant things, what frost happened to what,
my onions weren't getting as big as I wanted. So this old man comes and sits down, and I was telling him how, and I even showed him I had onions there for sale at the barbershop, and I told him, he goes, "Oh, your onions ain't big enough." He goes, "You just need to step on them and fold those leaves over." And I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, because it's all that energy is getting focused so it can bloom and seed out. But if you bend that stalk, don't break it, but just bend that stalk over, you know, then all the energy goes back to the root, and the root gets bigger." So the next day, I go out there to the garden. I just go put my foot and lightly stamp on the onions, so the stalks would stop, you know. And he was right. You know, the onions I pulled out, you know, a couple weeks later, were bigger than the onions that
So there's all these tricks of the trade, and that's what's great about the barbershop, especially out in the country where we live, is they teach.
Yeah, they teach. You get to see that great generation where. And it's also, I was talking to an ag agent that went to Cuba, and we was talking about meat rabbits and stuff. And he goes, "Well, another thing," and I asked him, "Well, what did you see in Cuba?" He goes, "Well, in those island countries, they can't afford fertilizer and pesticides because those island they're poor, they're too poor, Haiti and all of them." He says, and he was there for America to help them learn how to do agriculture better, but he was having a hard time doing it because they were doing it organically because they have to. It's not a choice. It's not a choice.
They've stayed green because there's no choice.
They stayed green because they can't financially put this stuff on ships and ship all these chemicals over. And anyways, he was telling me all these interesting ways that they were using the gardening and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And what's great about homesteading is this is, whether it's cutting firewood, ways to cut firewood, ways to build structures, ways to raise animals and breed animals. This is knowledge that's been handed down from generation to generation since the earliest farmers. Yeah.
I think our mentality is just Americans' mentality was we got to produce for the masses.
Yeah, it's called industrial farming.
Industrial farming, you know.
And it's been a blessing because it's helped stop world hunger.
Feeds the world.
Feeds the world, and I don't want to ever speak out against industrial farming because there's a place for it.
But you lose that grandma and grandpa style of gardening, or
that knowledge that's been taught from generation and expanded from generation to generation. And we're all going to the cities, and it doesn't even take much of a city for you could live in a small town and raised in that small town and forget what your ancestors learned.
Yeah. I think it was I was watching another Ken Burn documentary about the Civil War.
Yeah.
So the Confederate soldiers were like just totally wiped out of anything, no seasoning, no salt. So they'd go to the smokehouses and just get the dirt off the floor from the salt and stuff, from the meat and everything, just so they could season their hardtack and stuff. Had some kind of, a little bit extra, And I thought, wow, on a homestead, you have greenhouses, you might have a smokehouse, you have all these things that are different, rainwater system. And there's things that we don't see that we think of every day that we walk on that they would use as a
seasoning.
Maybe not a seasoning, but that was hard times then for them. But there's things that we don't see that we throw away that a homesteader would say, wow, that's something I could use.
That's something you could use. That's true. Real quick, to end the note on one of your famous homesteading stories, you once almost died by bees.
Oh.
Yeah. I want you to share that story because it's such a crazy story.
Oh.
The ones that are attacking you and...
Oh, okay. Well, so a man called me, and he had bees in his bulldozer, in the arm of the bulldozer. For some reason, these bees he had this bulldozer sitting in there for months, and the bees have moved into the metal arm where the blade attacks. It's just a solid metal frame. There's no way to take this arm apart because it's really thick, hard steel that's welded together with pins and everything. And so to remove the bees was pretty much an impossible task because he was wanting to use it right away. He got hurt on it from the bees. So I go over there and start killing the bees. Well, I don't realize that when I'm killing the bees that there's a drip hole on the other side where the bees could get out.
Uh-huh.
And at this time, I've been beekeeping for about 3 years, and I've been stung quite a few times. And I don't see these bees slipping through on the other side, and they start attacking me. And I got stung about 68 times from my wrists to my shoulder.
Yeah.
They started stinging me on my arm, and when a bee stings you, the barb goes into your skin, and it has a poison stack, and it causes the bee to have an abdominal rupture, an intestinal rupture, and it dies 15-10 minutes later. But while it's dying, it still can fly, and it's hitting you in the face, hitting you in the nose and eyes, and it's causing all this commotion to let all the other bees, this dying bee, he's not dying and just falling to the ground. He's dying with a fight.
Yeah.
And once they see that, of course they communicate through pheromones, or what we should call smell. And they see that stinger, another one stings you at the same spot, and another one stings you. Next thing you know, you have this cloud of bees just sting you all together in the same general area. And I'm walking away, and I'm just squishing bees down my sleeve of my shirt. I'm just squishing them. And I'm squishing thousands and thousands of bees. They're all over me. Anyways, eventually a guy comes up in a truck, and I hop in the back bed. We drive off.
That's funny. Like, did he see all the bees on you?
Yeah, he was a guy that owned the bulldozer, And he was staying in his truck because he got lit up before, and that's how he found the bees.
Yeah. So you jump in the back bed of the truck and you just drive off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He saves your life. We have killer bees.
Yeah.
And killer bees thankfully can't handle the cold weather like they can. They can't handle the cold weather
like they can in South America and Mexico and other places.
So you don't see a lot of killer bees up
where we live.
No, where we live we see a lot, but like say up in past Oklahoma and up north. You don't see them, but you see them down in Texas and Arizona, New Mexico.
At the barbershop, you learn a lot. And there's all types of occupations, and we're going to start homesteading, and you can learn a lot and get back to our roots.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Next time. Bye.